No spin, no bias, no censorship. I'm Dan Wootton. This is Outspoken, episode number 343. And breaking right now, a woke civil war has broken out at News UK's Talk over the suspension of Mike Graham for a so-called racist post on Facebook and Instagram that he denies writing. The struggling channel's star presenter, which, by the way, when I say struggling channel, today they've been overtaken by GB News Radio, so it isn't great timing because he has been pulled off air and replaced by Jeremy Kyle, who initially promised Mike would be gone just one day, but has now stopped mentioning his close mate's name altogether.
Welcome back to Morning Glory. It is coming up to 6 minutes. It is Monday morning, the 20th of October. Julie Hartley-Brewis here. Very good morning.
We're not down. We're going.
We're still going. Yeah, it's called radio. You know, just
wind it up.
Right.
Well, my friends, a very good morning. What is it? Honest to God, it's very early. It's Tuesday, the 21st of October. It's JK for MG. Don't panic if you're waking up. The main man just having today away. But we are here. Julia Hartley-Brewer very soon on Talk. I nearly said Drive, but it's actually Morning Glory. Cheers. Hey, very, very good morning to you. What is it? Wednesday, the 22nd of October. JK on Morning Glory till 10 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in.
But I can reveal today that staff at the channel's sister station, Talksport, which has gone woke in recent years, are now campaigning for Mike to never return.
All those who don't understand the Black Lives Matter movement, if you're fired up about it and you shout back, well, all lives matter or white lives matter as well, then please just stop for a second.
And this bloke, Ayub Khan, whoever he is, should go back to Pakistan and practice his anti-Semitism somewhere where people appreciate it, because we certainly do not.
Meanwhile, Mike's defenestration has been celebrated by both those on the left and the right for some surprising reasons.
For years, you've condemned me as a racist, and you just lost your job.
Who's that?
Mike, you know, some fat dude who does talk radio.
So I'll reveal the full inside story on the civil war at Talk and Mike Graham's future that you will not get from the MSM in my digest next. Then my superstar panel weigh in. She's back. The brilliant Jasmine Birtles, host of Money Magpie Finance on YouTube, and making his Outspoken debut, Urban Scoop contributor Guramit Singh. Also coming up on the show today, the real adolescence that Netflix and the MSM simply will not cover, as Muhammad Umar Khan, a first-generation Muslim immigrant, is jailed over the death of teenager Harvey Wilgoose after a fight at school. Rapper Professor Green sparks outrage for linking working-class people in Britain to illegal migrant criminals. And Tommy Robinson turns on King Charles as the crisis engulfing the British royal family over the Prince Andrew Jeffrey Epstein scandal grows by the day. Then, in the uncancelled after show on Substack, we reveal why King Charles is refusing to abdicate or pass any more duties to Prince William despite his growing health battles. All the latest with US royal commentator Lee Cohen, who is going to be joining us on Substack from Florida. You can join in at www.outspoken.live. We'll also reveal a brand new Greatest Britain and Union Jackass, of course, before the end of the show. Here are your nominees for the worst Britain in the world today. Bush Rashake, nominated by Dr. Wolf 444, who says she tweets relentlessly about Palestine, but ignores Sudan and Yemen, where Muslims are murdering other Muslims. She only mentions Palestine due to her hatred of Jewish people and the West. When Muslims kill others, she couldn't care less. Yasmin Alabaya Brown, nominated by MacCast48 for saying that the Oxford Union idiot who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death is a victim of cancel culture, never something she's been worried about before. And Rory Stewart, there he was on Newsnight last night, and that appearance has seen him nominated by Scott Flew23, who says he was sulking like a little boy on Newsnight and only perking up to blame Trump for everything. He has TDS of the highest order. So 3 interesting choices there. Get voting. Let me know your comments throughout the show. I will read out the best before we go. So do stick with us today. But now, let's go. The mainstream media is now so captured by the woke mind virus, even within organisations that you might think are sound, specifically my former channels, Talk TV and GB News. The desire to shut down, silence, cancel and ultimately destroy truth tellers burns hard. Just 2 years ago, I experienced exactly that. When my colleagues at GB News, a channel for which I had given my life, had been their launch presenter and actually ended up hosting their top-rated flagship show, gave into the mob over a comment that I hadn't even made. But who cares about that? Who gives a damn now? It was the biggest gift I've ever been given. I am now free. I am independent. I am owned by no one other than my brilliant audience and no longer controlled by nefarious billionaires. And that's why I'm convinced the cancellation of Mike Graham, similarly the top-rated host on Talk, will end up being an equal opportunity for him too. But that doesn't make the process any less painful. And it doesn't make the civil war that I can reveal has erupted at News UK as the staff of Talk TV and Talksport battle to either destroy or save Mike's career any less awful. So let me take you through the story, then I'll reveal what's going on behind the scenes based on many conversations that I've had with multiple Talk and News UK staff members. On Sunday night, Mike's Facebook and Instagram account ended up with this post on it. Compare and contrast. Tell me we're not fucked by multicultural bollocks. Why are we surrounded by non-white people? Just fuck off. Mike appeared on air as normal on Monday morning.
Welcome back to Morning Glory. It is coming up to 3 minutes past 6. It is Monday morning, the 20th of October. Julie Hartley-Pyrrhus here. Very good morning.
We're not down. We're going.
We're still going. Yeah, it's called radio. Just
wind it up.
Right.
But the left immediately began a campaign for Mike to lose his job. And that hit fever pitch when the Talksport presenter Aid Alapido posted and then deleted this on X. Now, this post has not been revealed until now. Let me read it to you. Just been sent that now deleted Instagram post from Mike Graham. I usually hold my tongue with most of the racist nonsense I see on social media, but this is beyond vile and unacceptable from someone in the same building as me, same floor. He simply has to be taken off the air immediately by Talk TV. Horrible man. But after that, Mike took to X himself to insist on Sunday night my Facebook was accessed and a vile message was posted on my page without my knowledge. It contained words that I would never write and an opinion I don't share. As soon as I found out, I immediately deleted the post and have taken steps to ensure the cybersecurity is enhanced. Obviously, I am mortified that such a post could have gone out in my name and am now attempting to find out how it could have happened. I am equally very sorry for any distress it has caused to anyone. But of course, the left was never going to accept an apology. They don't want an apology. They want destruction. So Henry Morris, who's like an internet sleuth, wrote, "Impressive that the hacker used the picture you'd just posted on Twitter moments beforehand." And Matthew Leggett added, "They must also have access to your phone, iCloud, since the two images of Churchill and Big Ben are different and were snapped seconds apart. Just own your racism, Talk TV. Mike Graham is a racist and a liar, and we expect his employment to be terminated with immediate effect." Now, by Tuesday morning, Mike Graham was off air. Jeremy Kyle initially said he would be in for MG for just one day. But he turned up again on Wednesday to host his best mate's show, and this time he didn't mention his name at all.
Well, my friends, a very good morning. What is it? Honest to God, it's very early. It's Tuesday, the 21st of October. It's JK for MG. Don't panic if you're waking up. The main man just having today away. But we are here. Julia Hartley-Brewer very soon on Talk. I nearly said Drive, but it's actually Morning Glory. Cheers. Hey, very, very good morning to you. What is it? Wednesday, the 22nd of October. JK on Morning Glory till 10 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. The Queen of Westminster has walked in. How are you?
Hello, hello.
Are you known as the Queen of Westminster?
No, not at all.
Because I bow
but
down.
you just carry on with that.
Hey, very, very good morning to you. What is it? It is Thursday, the 23rd of October. You're with Morning Glory. Thanks for tuning in. The home, of course, of free speech, but most of all, common sense. You don't get this anywhere else, by the way. We say this every single day.
Then on Wednesday afternoon, after a leak which Mike believes was from Talksport, the Daily Mail reported Mike Graham is sacked from Talk Breakfast Show after racist posts on his Facebook account as he insists he was hacked. Within an hour, they had rowed back ever so slightly, saying he had been suspended. But what is very clear from my conversations is that Talksport staff had kicked up a massive stink behind the scenes, prompting a formal investigation to be launched by HR into Mike, where he was asked to give up his phone to the company so they could look into his hacking claims. Now, Talk Radio and Talksport, you might be confused about this because they used to be tight. Like Talk Radio was launched as a spin-off from Talksport. They were sister stations. But I know what happened. It was the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020 when I was actually hosting Talk Radio's Drive show, and a clear split between the two emerged.
Be able to help all those who don't understand the Black Lives Matter movement. If you're fired up about it and you shout back, well, all lives matter or white lives matter as well, then please just stop for a second, take a listen to this. Hopefully it will help you.
So this civil war has been brewing for the past 5 years, and Mike's post was what thrust it into the open. The Daily Express has now reported that the post was the final straw. And they quote a source from Talksport. Let me take you through this. They say it's like civil war has broken out on the shop floor. What the public don't understand is that Talksport and Talk Radio are very different channels in the same building on the same floor. At Sport, we have people of all different colours working alongside each other peacefully. We're one big happy team, and the bosses at News UK know that. But at Talk Radio, their agenda and output is highly charged to make migrants and minorities feel like the enemy. The fact that Mike Graham can post some of the trash he does normally, and nobody in senior management has told him off before, is a disgrace. But his Facebook post is the final straw. They added, none of us at Talksport want to work with him. Why would we want to work with a man who says the things he says? In order for the Talk Radio presenters to get to their studio, they have to walk through the Talksport section of the office, and we don't want him there anymore. Just look at the presenter lineups of both stations and tell me you don't see the difference. We have big names like Darren Bent and Gabby Omblahor. Why should they have to share a workspace with Mike Graham after what he's said? If Denny Morris, the head of both stations, protects his good friend Mike Graham, there'll be civil war in this place. Now, what makes Mike's axing potentially more interesting is that he's actually being criticised almost equally from both the left and the right. So let's start with the extremists on the Islamist left. Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana's new party actually posted about this. Right-wing TV host Mike Graham has reportedly been sacked. This is the man who said on air that independent Alliance MP Ayub Khan should go back to Pakistan for opposing Maccabi hooligans coming to Birmingham. The media's racism on full display. And that was in reference to this moment.
Pakistani community and the FA, says Anna in Surrey. And Louise says, good morning, Mike. Louise from Ipswich. Aston Villa might as well have put up a sign saying no Jews allowed. This is blatant anti-Semitism. I'm frankly ashamed of Aston Villa. I'm ashamed of Birmingham. I'm ashamed of the police in Birmingham. These people have no business in our country. And this bloke, Ayub Khan, whoever he is, should go back to Pakistan and practice his anti-Semitism somewhere where people appreciate it, because we certainly do not.
So that's the left. But what's interesting, and what I think a lot of you will not expect, is that Tommy Robinson has also joined the chorus of criticism, given Mike's previous decision to brand him a racist on X. Here are the posts. Tell that to your racist mate, Tommy Robinson. Total cobblers. The bloke is an idiot. Free speech is intact. He's supported by the Tommy Robinson moron racist brigade. You don't need to look any further, mate. Isn't it amazing how easy it is to hook the racists in when you mention St. Tommy of Robinson? Not his real name, and a rich furrow of planks who are now all experts in the law of the land. give me strength. So that's the context to this first video of Tommy Robinson celebrating Mike Graham's axe scene today.
Hold on. Mike, what's going on? For years, you've condemned me as a racist. And you just lost your job. Mike, you know, some fat dude who does talk radio, talk TV. For years, all he ever does is use his platform, and every time he talks about me, he condemns me as that far-right racist. He's got drunk and he's got pissed up, posted loads of racist stuff. His true feelings come out. You were masking, you were fucking... It's brilliant.
Good, he's got time to exercise now.
Do you want a job with us, Mike? Nah, mate, don't employ racists.
There was obviously a bit of pushback about that because, you know, there is a shared fan base in a lot of way. So Tommy decided to clarify his position further.
Let me just give you some context for why I'm laughing. A few years ago, there was a sexual assault at Centre Parks. I was on holiday at Centre Parks. And that sexual assault was against a child that's close to me. I can't identify the child or tell you or go into any more detail because victims of sexual assault are forever protected from being identified. I'd be committing an offence. I'm a bit lost here. Anyway, I'd be committing an offence. Let me just tell you what Mike did at that time. So a sexual assault against a child close to me. Mike used his platform to belittle it, to mock it, and to say that it was fabricated and that the child was lying in order to promote my racist agenda. That's what Mike did. So, of course, I'm very angry with Mike. I think it's outrageous behaviour. I think it's immoral behaviour. I think he's a scumbag. That's what I think, yeah? So, if you see me laughing, I wouldn't usually laugh at someone losing their job. I wouldn't usually laugh at... I don't believe in cancel culture, but Mike's an arsehole, yeah? Mike belittled a sexual assault against a child that I know, yeah? And he'd done it out of his hatred for me and his allegation that I'm a racist. So to now see Mike lose his job for the allegation of being a racist, the full 360, yeah. I don't shed any tears. I'm not sympathetic to the man at all. He's an arsehole. He's continually used his platform to attack me as a racist with zero evidence. Yet, look, there's evidence against Mike. Yeah, well, not much evidence. Imagine I've been covertly recorded for years. I've done hundreds of demonstrations. I've had cameras on me for years. There's nothing on me as a racist. Yeah, nothing. Yet Mike, imagine all the cameras have been on him for all those years. So yeah.
So as you can see, a real division here. Others on the right refused to support Mike because of his dismissal in the past of Britain's unquestioning changing demographics, which will make our native population the minority. Watch.
Can you tell me how somebody next door to you has been replaced by somebody else? Have you got a theory on that?
Yes, it's on the ONS.
No. I'm looking for actual evidence. You're telling me that people are being replaced. Can you tell me of any friends of yours who have been taken away and replaced? Do you know what the word replace means? It means taking something away and replacing it with something else. Do you understand what that actually means? You have no evidence that anyone's being replaced, do you?
Only according to what the demographic experts are predicting, but that white...
Oh, it's a prediction. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realise it was a prediction. I thought you were telling me that people were actually actively being replaced now.
Yeah, it's called the replacement plan. It's on the United Nations.
Oh, right. So when does the plan kick in? When does it start?
I think it started a while ago.
Did it? Whoa. What, so you mean there's already loads of people that have been replaced in Southend then?
Yeah.
Right, OK. So do you know anyone that's disappeared in Southend? Because this is a great story now. I'm thinking that we should get into it.
So that prompted the independent media sensation Maya Tusi of Tusi TV to respond in this way. Never forget, all of these mainstream media voices were calling everything and everyone racist until just a couple of years ago. But now they see it trendy to say right-wing things. They're all on Talk TV and GB News, all fake. And no, they haven't evolved their views. I know them. No chance. Now, for once, I've got a position that's more nuanced. That's not often for me, right? But Mike was a brilliant colleague to me at Talk, and I love him as a broadcaster. I think his Morning Glory show is a must listen. I don't agree with him on everything, though. Certainly not on Tommy Robinson, certainly not on demographics. And it was disappointing that Mike jumped on Talk's pitchfork-waving mob against myself and Lawrence Fox when I think he should have been standing up for the principle of free speech.
What on earth is going on over at GB News? You know, they call it the People's Channel, but there's a lot of people suspended. I don't know what that means, but what it does seem to mean is that there's an awful lot of people who want to shut them down. There's an awful lot of people who've been outraged by Lawrence Fox and what he said about Ava Santina, a woman that does a lot of work here at Talk TV. The problem is, when you use people like Lawrence Fox, who's not a journalist, he's a polemicist, he's a former actor, he likes to get stuck into people, he says things which are inappropriate. Lots of people, I think, thought that what he said was wrong. I don't think anyone thought that what he said was right. There are consequences to freedom of speech. He's been suspended. Dan Wootton has now been suspended because it turns out that he didn't correct anything that Lawrence Fox said. And the whole station now seems to be in freefall. Who knows where it's all going to end? But the one thing I would say is this. If GB News could clean up its act...
Now, some people say it's a little bit ironic, but I don't hold Mike at all responsible for that. Talk were desperate to get me off air at the time for competitive reasons, and they even held a champagne toast behind the scenes with Sharon Osbourne when it was announced that I had been suspended. I always did think, well, this is really silly because the mob are going to come for you next. Lots of people on the right, though, don't think Mike should have apologised at all, but rather owned his original post. Josh Fern of Lotus Eaters, who Mike has been very critical of in the past, said even after this rather embarrassing excuse, he has apparently been suspended anyway. And World by Wolf added, so Mike Graham has been put on a break from his Talk TV show because he posted a photo of a tube carriage on the London Underground full of non-English people and complained about it. I don't see the problem. We shouldn't have minority English cities in England. It's ethnic cleansing. All of that said, though, there has also been a massive groundswell of love for Mike, with threats of a boycott of Talk growing if he doesn't return. There's even been a change.org petition launched arguing that he should be reinstated. And I will say that Mike's suspension has come at the worst possible time for Talk, given new radio ratings information. These are the so-called radars released today. And by the way, I don't believe the radars. They're a joke. Like, you literally write down a little book. Oh, yes, I listened to this radio station. But anyway, that's a whole other story. They were released today, and they show Talk's ratings slumping by 12% year on year, and devastatingly for them, being overtaken by GB News Radio. Now, those ratings will become even more dire without Mike on air. Calvin McKenzie wrote, Mike Graham, the breakfast show host on Talk TV, comfortably their best presenter, has been suspended for a post which appeared on his Facebook page, but which he insists was hacked. Murdoch's piss-poor London management acted when a company employee he has Nigerian heritage complained. And then he went into what the post said. And Calvin, in fairness, did say unacceptable, but I've known Graham for literally decades and have never heard him ever be disparaging about minorities. In fact, I've never even heard him talk about race matters. He has been replaced temporarily, I trust, by the ho-hum Jeremy Kyle, who made his career by humiliating poor white people on television. At News UK, employing somebody who made millions by dehumanising whites from council estates is just fine, but one mysterious racist post destroys a career. I do hope, once an investigation is completed, that Graham is reinstated. Queen Bee backed that up, writing, I've come to know Mike Graham over the years, and I can absolutely say he is not a racist. And these posts were simply just not how he speaks. Talk, don't capitulate to the madness. The country loves Mike. An ex-Talk colleague, Dave Atherton, he had a very interesting point of view on this. He wrote, Mike Graham, Talk's best presenter, appears to be suspended for remarks made on Facebook on migrants. I worked on The Late Show. I started off every 3 weeks, then fortnightly, then weekly. Over Christmas, I was on both Thursday and Friday. Went on with Lois Perry. They had a record audience of 100,000, which I still believe stands. The feedback we got was excellent. Then they saw my support for Tommy Robinson, inspected my X feed, and I was never used again. I understand it's the wokeists in human remains, resources, that were the people behind it. The management have a lot to answer for. They need to go, not Mike. Charlotte Gill added, "This is so obviously a hack. Mike Graham does not speak like this." Also, this account below, used in the article as some sort of proof Mike did it, is a far left account, and the hacker absolutely could have used the picture Mike just posted on Twitter moments beforehand. People do get hacked. He's even received backing from the SDP leader, William Clouston, who wrote a quick shout out for Mike Graham. "Remember that platforms can and do get hacked. It's quite common. Nothing detracts from Mike's insight, experience, and brilliance as a journalist. Keep on trucking, Mike." And Daily Mail columnist Dan Hodges on the left added, "Lots of people dancing on Mike Graham's grave. We don't always agree, but I've always enjoyed debating with him. Hope it can all be sorted out and he's back on air soon." Of course, I do give both sides here, and there are the usual hard left haters like Narinder Kaur, who wrote, "I'm astounded a channel whose entire unique selling point is bigotry and racism is sacking someone for being exactly that." And Bushra Sheikh, who added, "Surprised but happy to hear that Talk TV have sacked Mike Graham for his racist post on Facebook. He blocked me a while ago after I had pointed out his blatant bigotry, racism, and Islamophobia. It was a long time coming. Drain the swamp. Next up is Julia Hartley-Brewer." So that's how they act. You get one, then you go for the other. The problem for Mike is that there are now many within Talk calling for him to own his initial post and apologize. But I mean, how would that go down with management? And the ex-AI tool Grok hasn't helped his cause either. When asked, "Do you believe Mike Graham that he was hacked?" Grok replied, "No, I don't believe Mike Graham's claim that his Facebook account was hacked," and then went into the reasons why. They say if it truly was a hack, concrete evidence like login alerts from unusual devices should be easy to produce. But all I know is that if Mike Graham is taken off air, it is another nail in the coffin of the dying MSM. And besides, it would mean we'd never get another viral post like this.
Morning, Mike.
Oh, hello. What are you glued to, Cameron?
Just your screen, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. What do you do for a living,
Well,
Cameron?
I'm a carpenter.
A carpenter, right. So how safe is that for the climate?
Well, I work with timber, which is a much more sustainable material rather than concrete. I also
But you work with
retrofit-
trees that have been cut down then, don't you?
It's a sustainable building practice
How is it sustainable if you're killing trees?
because it's regenerative. You can grow trees.
Right. Well, you can grow all sorts of things, can't you?
Well, you can't grow concrete.
You can. See you, Cameron. Cheerio. That was Cameron. He grows trees and then cuts them down and then makes things from them. Brilliant. Marvellous. I don't think I ever want to talk to any of those people.
Now, the superstar panel are here. To Jasmine Birtles, the host of Money Magpie Finance on YouTube, and Urban Scoop star Guramit Singh. So, Jasmine, look, you're an amazing woman, right? Because you've been on all of these stations, but you supported me through my cancellation through thick and thin. Where do you stand on what's going on with Mike Graham?
Well, I used to work with Mike, actually, like you. But even further back, I used to work with him in the Daily Express. So I know Mike, reasonably well. He's always been a bit of a curmudgeon. He's an old hack. Now I don't know because I haven't spoken to him at all about this, but I don't feel that post is exactly him either. I mean, parts of it might be, but it seems to me like not quite his way of writing. So I would err on the side of believing him when he said that he's been hacked. I could be wrong, but yeah, that's the way I feel about it.
And then, Guramit Singh, you have your ally, Tommy Robinson, celebrating this, but he has clarified that he's not celebrating this because he believes in cancel culture, but rather the irony that Mike Graham has previously accused him of racism. Are you with Tommy on this?
I'm completely with Tommy. I mean, I'm not too familiar with Mike Graham's show. I don't really listen or watch to Talks radio, is it? But after watching your little clips of him right now, he seems to come across like a little quite arrogant, if I'm being honest. And after listening to Tommy Robinson earlier, and the video that you played, how he was quite insulting at a time when someone very close to Tommy, and I'm very close to Tommy, and the people around him suffered quite an extreme violent act against them, and he was kind of using it as an excuse to discredit Tommy. I'm kind of with Tommy on it. So, as one of the tweets that your pulpit said, dancing on the grave, I'd probably be dancing on the grave of his career alongside with Tommy, but with a bottle of champagne in my hand, due to the fact that he's treated Tommy in that way.
Okay, so that's why. It's specifically because he accused Tommy of racism. Jasmine,
100%.
from your business point of view, where do you think Talk stands on this? Is it Mike Graham's responsibility to prove that his account was hacked? Or did they have to prove it? Do you see what I mean? Because I've obviously had these complaints from the Woketopians at Talksport, but Mike's saying, look, I was hacked. So how do they deal with this from a legal perspective and from an HR perspective? Because, of course, if Mike was hacked and then he's sacked for it, surely he could have an unfair dismissal case.
Well, absolutely, he could. So, yeah, I mean, if I would Talk, I would want him to prove it. But of course, they've got deep pockets, and they've got a huge legal team. They've also got tech people who could work it out. So I think it would be better for them to actually decide for themselves. And also, what they have to decide is this enough, really, honestly, to get rid of him? Maybe at the moment it looks like they've decided it was, but given what their viewers, their listeners are saying, it could be that he has such a big amount of support that it wouldn't be a good business decision to get rid of him. It might be for their own people. They might get problems with their own staff, as you say, particularly from Talksport. But they might take the view that actually he has such a lot of support, and they can make a case maybe to say, we think that it was actually a hack here, that they will bring him back simply because he's got so much support, so many viewers love him.
Absolutely, and I think it would be disastrous for them from a business point of view. I mean, Guramit Singh, I guess the one thing that organisations like Urban Scoop are proving, that shows like Outspoken are proving, is that actually you don't need the mainstream media anymore. And I think a figure like Mike Graham, and look, you may disagree with him on a lot of points, but I think he would thrive on this space. And actually, he could be more successful independent rather than as part of a dying media organisation like News UK and Talk TV, which proved, by the way, Guramit, time and again how out of touch they are with their viewers, with their listeners, with their readers, by the way that they, for example, covered the Unite the Kingdom rally. Because it's their viewers and listeners and readers that are in attendance, yet they painted it as some type of violent hellhole. And obviously we were both there, and we know that's so far from the truth.
Well, you've already just said it out loud, really. I don't understand where his career could be, even as an independent, when he's willing to speak so many lies on so many various issues. He's willing to make accusations against Tommy Robinson to be a racist when he has no evidence of that. He's willing to say that the United Kingdom March was violent, far right, whatever he did say, and there is no evidence of that at all. So I don't even know how successful he's been as an independent. Now, it's the sort of thing that I'd expect from the mainstream media, but not as an independent such as yourselves or us guys from Urban Scoop.
Indeed. Look, I'm going to keep on this story. There is a lot developing here very fast. But what I do know is that this is a really horrible thing to be at the center of the storm. And it is really horrible when people turn on you too. But I would say, and I do stress again, I think this is a great opportunity for Mike to go independent. I really do. I think actually his career would end up benefiting from it. It's the most horrific story that Netflix and the mainstream media simply will not cover. But it's the real adolescence, and it's not the angelic white choir boy who is responsible for the brutal murder of his classmate. Look at the front page of today's Daily Mirror, which reveals that Muhammad Umar Khan, a first-generation Muslim immigrant, has been jailed for 16 years over the death of, as Peter Lloyd puts it, white Harvey Wilgoose. And he adds, zero outrage from race activists or the usual grifters. Imagine the months-long fury if the races were reversed. And this story is truly chilling. But of course, the mainstream media have not dealt with the elephant in the room at all. This is how it broke on Sly News.
Breaking news. Within the last few moments, a judge in Sheffield has allowed the identification of the killer of the teenager Harvey Wilgoose. Well, I'm joined now by our North of England correspondent, Katerina Bertozzi, who's at Sheffield Crown Court. And Katerina, the boy was just 15 when these attacks happened. Tell us what's happened in court today.
Yes, well, until now, the killer of Harvey Wilgoose has had his identity, it's been restricted in terms of the reporting of his identity because he's under the age of 18. But the judge here at Sheffield Crown Court, on the day when that boy will be sentenced, has now said that he can be identified, and we can do that now. Mohammed Umar Khan, known as Umar, is the 15-year-old boy who stabbed Harvey Wilgoose to death at their school in February this year. Over the course of the trial, there was a lot of detail that was already made public. It was just the name, really, that we weren't able to disclose at that time. We know that Umar Khan, as he was referred to during the trial here, brought a 13-centimetre hunting knife into school with him that day. And in an attack which happened just outside the school canteen, moments before the school lunch break, in just 2 blows, he fatally stabbed Harvey Wilgoose, a boy who had said that previously, you know, that he had been friends with, but they'd had a recent falling out, and it ended with this horrendous attack on Harvey that killed him.
Yeah, it is horrendous, and it absolutely mirrors the storyline of the Netflix series, apart from that the woke producers decided to do a race swap. Because, of course, they don't want to acknowledge the reality. Connor Tomlinson on this wrote, Muhammad Umar Khan stabbed Harvey Wilgoose in the chest and murdered him at All Saints Catholic High School in February. But the government, news, and inevitable Netflix adaptation will try to convince you these crimes happen the other way around. This did not need to happen. Khan did not need to be here. We shouldn't have to live with these people. We can't, clearly. And Leo Kearse added, how many kids are we going to sacrifice on the altar of multiculturalism? Stephen Barrett, being facetious, wrote, remember, plebs, watch adolescence, not the news. But even in the news coverage, there is an absence. And by the way, it's utterly horrifying, and seeing the video, it's chilling. But there is an absence of the social commentary in the wider context that's required. This from the British Bashing Corporation.
It looks like a play fight in the corridor. Hours later, the boy seen shoving Harvey here would pull out a hunting knife and stab him. That boy was Mohammed Umar Khan. Today we could finally name him. A rare decision for a judge. She said it was of substantial public interest because it was such a serious crime committed by a child. Here he is after the fatal attack. He's agitated. There's chaos all around because other pupils can see his knife. A frightening moment.
Your knife had cut through the full thickness of one of Harvey's ribs. As Harvey backed away, you advanced towards him. Harvey ran towards you, and you were seen to have advanced again, dancing on your feet and waving the knife. Harvey again backed away. 49 seconds after you had stabbed him, he collapsed on the ground.
I mean, it is utterly, almost unspeakably traumatic, this case. I want to turn to my superstar panel, Jasmine Birtles and Guramit Singh. Guramit, do you know the parents in this case, who are the migrants to this country, fought and fought and fought for their son's name not to be revealed because they claimed that could put them at threat. But what about Harvey Wilgoose? How did this happen? Where are the questions? I think we need to know what happened with these parents, how they raised this murdering monster when we gave them everything.
I completely agree with you, Dan, and regardless of colour or religion, it's heartbreaking to hear of any one of our youth dying, especially in such a horrific manner. We've seen this over the years when it's come to the grooming scandals, how they've tried to hide the colour and the culture and the religion of the assailants. This is another situation where the parents have tried to hide the individual who was responsible for killing Harvey. It's something that I've seen, especially with my work within exposing grooming gangs, that the Islamic community have been quite hell-bent on. And that's a try of flipping the scripts and making it out like, well, once they do commit the crimes, that they're actually a victim of it themselves. And they use this as an excuse to try and hide and shelter themselves and the assailants within the community. I've seen this over and over again, and this is just another circumstance of that, in my opinion.
100%. Jasmine Birtles, one of the problems is, though, that the mainstream media, the entertainment giants, the likes of Netflix, want to have a conversation about race when it's apparently young white incels. You know, they're obsessed with this idea of young white incels being radicalized by far-right personalities like Andrew Tate. That, for them, is an acceptable, safe conversation.
Yes.
But that's not the reality. It's not what's happening.
No, exactly. And I've said this to some of my lefty friends over and over, that Andrew Tate is not a problem. You know, with a small number of people, yes, okay, there may be a problem there, but for the vast majority, he really isn't. And it's there isn't the far right that they think exists barely does, either in this country or across Europe. Although they are being created, certainly, you know, I think there are a number that are being more and more pushed further and further to the right because of, as you say, the woke left taking over all the institutions. Of course, you know, we have a number of black boys, young black boys, who have been killed by white men. I mean, you can think of a few over the last few decades. So it isn't just in this direction. But as you say, the problem is the woke media, the MSM, which, as you say, only wants to have a conversation about young white boys particularly and what the problem is with them. You know, it seems to me at the moment, according to the MSN, the worst possible thing you could be in this world right now is a young white male.
100%. And they try to demonize events like Unite the Kingdom, which Guramit Singh's organisation Urban Scoop is very much behind. But actually, I just want to show you this viral video, which is just coming out from Unite the Kingdom of late, which dispels so many of those MSM lies. Watch this.
Certain groups such as Stand Up to Racism, and I believe a lot of them are doing more harm than good because they're actually calling people Nazis, racist, and it's very difficult to come back from that because they're not actually debating. They're just slapping these harsh labels on people, and I actually believe that they're generating more racism and more racial sentiment, and they're actually creating more racist people. I've never really experienced a lot of racism, or should I say open or blatant racism, but I believe groups like that are actually quite dangerous because they're actually making people believe that there's a lot of racism out there, and they're making people feel like they're victims. And a lot of these voices are white liberal voices, so why are you allowing white liberal voices to tell you how much racism there is out there? It just doesn't make any sense. So again, I would say don't allow yourself to be indoctrinated. Go out there, do your own research, judge by your own experiences. You know, we all go mix with different people, and then is that really your experience on a day-to-day basis, or is that because people are telling you that? People are making you feel like you're a victim. Oh, everybody's racist, everybody's racist. So that's what I mean when I say I believe these groups are actually doing more harm than good.
Now, Guramit Singh, that was a fascinating conversation for me. And your role in Urban Scoop is quite interesting in all of this too, because, of course, you're not white and you're very close with Tommy Robinson.
I mean, my history with Tommy Robinson goes back a lot further than United Kingdom. I'm probably one of the only people that's still around that was
You're an
pivotal.
OG.
I'm an EDL OG, yeah. I mean, I was leading the English defence team with Tommy Robinson from practically the inception of it. So going back like 16, 17 years, I used to organise our demonstrations. I used to do some spokesperson work. So I've been around a long time, and I can honestly say I've never seen any racism at our demonstrations, and I've never suffered it myself in any single way. This idea of far right extremism and racism keeps coming up from MSM. If we're talking about United Kingdom, or we could talk about the caseloads on the deaths at MO5. We all know that Islamic extremism is a real threat to our country, and we've got evidence of it over and over again. There has been the odd instance of far right extremism, but I do not believe it's as serious as a problem as what mainstream media and our political elites try to make it out to be. But when it comes to a UTK demonstration, none of it actually exists. And you've seen that yourself, Dan, because you've been there present many times yourself.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting because, of course, what you are dealing with as one of these OGs, Guramit, is that shifting Overton window coming your way. And as a result, you can say quite proudly, and I'm sure it brings you a lot of frustration to say, well, look, I was saying this 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You were deriding me. You were trying to lock me up. You were trying to shut us down. At the same time, I think we should celebrate these shifting sands in a lot of ways because the country desperately needs change. And it's been really fascinating to see in the past week the Conservative Party, which totally failed in government, and I don't think I could ever vote for them again. So this isn't me saying the Tories are the answer, but really interesting that they are now openly talking about the Islam threat for the first time. And Nick Timothy posted on this, and remember, he used to be a former advisor to Theresa May. We have de facto Islamic blasphemy laws and a crisis of free speech in Britain. When this Sky News presenter accused me of othering Muslims and causing division, this is what I told him. And I found it fascinating because I'm like, this was a conversation that Tommy Robinson would have been having on Sky News about 15 years ago. Watch.
Be very careful in your language, but you'll know that it will be heard that you are being very critical of the Muslim community right now with this idea, this sense of an othering of the Muslim community and maybe an undercurrent of danger from that community.
Not at all, and I don't really understand these terms like othering and things like that. I think
you
it's
don't.
Well, look, I think
divisiveness.
I think your question is. And I know it's not your view. You're asking a question on behalf of a particular perspective. But this is exactly what's wrong with how we talk about these issues. If you try to talk openly and freely about undoubted social problems that exist in this country, you are immediately accused of bad faith. That's not what's going on at all. My words will stand for themselves, but we have a crisis in free speech in this country, and we need to do something about it.
I'm sorry to rush you, because this is an important debate. We should have much more time to talk about it. Hopefully you and I will get to do that again very soon. All right, thank you very much for being with us.
I mean, Jasmine, obviously, Sly News totally awful there, but it is fascinating, isn't it, seeing these so-called far-right hobby horses, which actually are about the future of our country, the destruction of our country, go mainstream.
Yes, absolutely. I think they realise finally that the majority of the country really, and it goes across all strata of society, the majority of the country, and it doesn't matter what colour you are either, is worried about unchecked, uncontrolled immigration, about cultures that are setting up in this country that will not integrate, that refuse to integrate. And much of it is our fault. It's the fault of our governments who have not insisted on integration from those who have immigrated here. And this is the majority of the country that's worried about it. And finally, it seems that, as you say, the Conservative Party and to some extent the MSM are realising that they are the minority, the majority is concerned, and they need to address it and accept it and stop calling it far right and fascist.
The celebrity class in the United Kingdom continues to disgrace itself with fury as Professor Green, the hard left rapper. Do you remember Professor Green? Jeremy Corbyn fan, used to be married to the posho Millie McIntosh from Made in Chelsea, decided as he launches his music Comeback, to link working class people to illegals, to illegal migrants, saying that working class people have more in common with illegal migrants. Remembering that the illegal migrants to this country, on the whole, are terrorists, are rapists, are murderers, are drug traffickers, and are a stain on this country. Nick Dixon was furious about this. He posted, "So sick to claim working class Brits have more in common with migrants who are raping their children than they do with a middle class British person." If it wasn't for the visible branding, I would assume this show was called Clueless Wankers. Here's that part of the conversation.
Do you think in the working class community, there's a lot of men who are lost?
There's a really terrifying book, Boys and Men by Richard Reeves. And he talks about, the effect of men becoming less marriageable, men becoming unmarriageable. So therefore women looking at them as just an extra mouth to feed and thinking they can do everything themselves.
Wow.
That's not villainizing women, by the way, but
No.
just what's happening. There's so much fucking division. We're not even, against patriarchy together. It's just, well, if women are doing better, it must be at the cost of men. You know what I mean? Like, and let's feed that to men. In the same way that people are encouraged to be angry at immigrants because they're the problem, right? Despite you having much more in common with them than you ever will your middle or upper class counterparts, they're the problem. It's all of this division which is encouraged and relied upon that stops any significant change from ever happening. There's a lot of people who are angry with the situations they find themselves in, and some of that anger is just. I'm not here to diminish that anger, but it's then leveraged by people who benefit further from, further division. And you look at reform, all the British flags going up. I went through Basildon the other day going, what in the Brexit is going on here? And it's a sad use of something which, soldiers coming home from war gave a real good feeling of, I'm okay. I've made it back. It's not that anymore. There's, people talk of being patriots. And a lot of people not knowing their own history.
Oh, sorry, it just makes me so mad. It makes me so mad. To my superstar panel, Jasmine Birtles and Guramit Singh. Guramit, how dare he equate the working classes with illegal migrants?
It's disgusting, and it's this conversation that's been happening within his own class for a long time now, that the working class doesn't really understand what they're doing. They don't understand the threats and the rapes and the violence that are coming in and being put upon their families and their friends by illegal immigrants. It's disgraceful. And this is a man that's used class as a reason why he actually got divorced from that posh wife that he had in Chelsea. For years now, the views of the working class have been seen as second class compared to the middle and the higher class. I can tell Professor Green quite openly that we're very intelligent, we're very forward thinking, we do understand the logistics and the statistics of the crimes that are happening to our communities from these illegal migrants and from other negative impacts and from other negative sectors of our communities, and we understand it fully, and we do have the intelligence to actually know what is right and what is wrong, and to basically look at us as some sort of underclass that doesn't understand what's happening in the political and social dynamics of this country is just completely insulting.
Very well put. Jasmine Birtles, I think it is hugely insulting, actually. I really, really do. And to me, it's this idea that, and it really is an elite class view. These migrants, these illegals are not a threat to us. And it's like, the proof is that they are. And they are a threat in so many ways.
Well, yes, the whole point of immigration is to bring down wages. It's a macroeconomic plan. So the more people you have in a country, the higher your GDP, your gross domestic product, should be, because part of the way to calculate GDP is head count. So, the more heads you have, the higher your GDP. And so the government looks rather good, goes, oh, look, our GDP is up. But for those on the ground, and particularly for the working class, just the very existence of legal migrants as well as illegal ones means that on the whole, their salaries, their pay goes down. It's harder for them to get work. It's harder for them to get well-paid work. And actually, there is also an argument to say that in the upper echelons, if you like, there is a problem there with legal migration. For example, in universities, we have a lot of universities now that have more and more foreign students who are paying quite well, quite nicely, but that means that it's harder for British students to get places. So there is a genuine threat to all sorts of echelons.
Of course
really.
it is. Of course it is. But look, I increasingly feel like celebrities are going mad. It's really interesting for me. I used to be in this world, right, for years and years and years and years. And it was before woke. And people were not insane like this because I knew Pro Green really well back in the day. He wasn't like this. And Nadia Sawalha, I knew Nadia Sawalha really well because I worked on ITV Daytime for 10 years. But the woman's lost the plot. She has completely and utterly lost the plot over the situation in Gaza. And I watched this video and I'm actually concerned for her. Watch.
I'm about to say is going to be considered brave. Might even lose me work. Well, I'm all right with that. It will certainly bring the little group out that like to come round the back and do a little bit of threatening to anyone that has a social media presence. You know who you are, don't you? One day it will all come out and you're going to look like such a silly Billy. Don't forget, the UN spent 2 years investigating what's going on in Gaza and it is defined as a genocide.
Just creepy. So damn creepy. Her longtime enemy, Katie Hopkins, had this to say in response.
Nadia Sawalha. I was on Celebrity Big Brother with her. Apparently she's had a full mental breakdown on Tinternet. She's come out and said, oh, has anybody thought how difficult this is for Hamas and the Palestinian men? She's gone full Dawn French. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe a combination of uppers and too much gin. What I can tell you is she was a right pain in the arse in the Celebrity Big Brother house. I mean, she was in there. Obviously got paid a lot more than her, but she basically did cooking the whole time because I think she thought she was going to get a cookery show off the back of Celebrity Big Brother, whereas in fact she just got kicked out early for being really boring, and they edited all the cooking out, so she just fed us all and got fuck all from it. Oh, poor old Nadia, shame.
Jasmine, what was going on there?
I don't know. I really don't know. But the issue with Gaza and celebrities is a weird one. To be honest, celebrities and anything tends to get weird. You know, I mean, the trans debate, all these weird little celebrity, these actorists who got on the trans bandwagon are now finally, they're trying to sort of row back. I just wonder if this is going to be the same with this issue as well. I do understand them wanting to use their platforms, but honestly, I wish they wouldn't. I wish they wouldn't, because most of them have really weird ideas and they flip-flop depending on what's popular and what they think will help their careers. So much of the time, it's better if they don't say anything at all.
Yeah, I mean, Guramit, it's definitely true, isn't it, that this most recent conflict has sent a lot of the elite class mad.
Yeah, I mean, them two clips that you just showed me there, it's completely the difference between left and right, night and day. On the first clip with Nadia, I think her name is, she clearly looks quite mentally unstable. She's pumping forward lies of a genocide in Gaza, where if you look at the population in Palestine as a whole, it's actually quite consistently gone up over the years. And then you've got the amazing Katie Hopkins just using her British wit to put across the actual truth about this individual. Since there has been this explosion of support of Palestinians in Gaza over the turmoil of what's happening with Israel, you've seen a lot of celebrities going out in the public trying to use this as a bit of a platform for themselves to maybe try and show the whole woke world how incredible and how intelligent they are with foreign affairs. Well, really, they should just stick to their acting and stick to what they're good at.
Yeah.
Indeed. There was another odd one this week from Nigel Farage that I want to show you. In an interview with Erin Molan, he claimed that Elon Musk had been bullying him. Watch this.
I don't know what it is with Elon. He tried to push me into some policy positions. Some might say he tried to bully me into some policy positions that I didn't accept, I didn't agree with, and so I said no. And as a result of saying no, he sort of turned his attack on me. Somehow I'm soft, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other. All I can say...
Do you care?
Do you know what? If I'm prepared to tell the richest man in the world, who potentially was going to support me financially in a big way, but I'm prepared to tell the most powerful man in the world, no, I won't budge, I won't be bullied, I won't bend, I won't shift my principles, then I hope that says to the world something about me that perhaps they wouldn't have understood before. I'm not for sale.
Now, World by Wolf tweeted in response to that, Farage makes a big song and dance about how he saw off the bullying from Elon Musk as not for sale, but we know Nigel Farage has been bullied and was for sale to Tia Yusuf. Musk offered $100 million, Yusuf offered £200,000, so what else does Yusuf have over you, Farage? And Guramit Singh, I mean, we know what Nigel is referring to. We know he's referring to Elon Musk's support of Tommy Robinson, but bullying? Really? What? It was a robust political debate, wasn't it? I mean, Nigel, come on, don't go woke. There was no bullying. He strongly disagreed with your position on Tommy Robinson.
Yeah, there was no bullying in place. Nigel just trying to make himself look a victim. And I do think Nigel Farage has been turning woke over the years. At one point, I did actually think that was a leader I could actually get behind. I thought he was on the right side of politics, especially what he achieved with Brexit. In my eyes, I used to say back in the day, he's probably the most important politician of the 21st century. But his comments and his misinformation regarding my close colleague, Tommy Robinson, has spiraled this debate and this argument with himself and such powers such as Elon Musk. And I don't think Nigel's got away with it. And he suffered the punishment of it, which was hundreds and hundreds of million pounds worth of investment being taken away from Reform and maybe in the future being given to other parties to actually be in competition with them. So I believe it's his own doing, but I don't believe it's an act of bullying. I think more Nigel's being more of it's just an act of cowardice on Nigel's behalf.
Jasmine, it did surprise me the use of that word, and I think Guramit's right to sort of frame Nigel as trying to be a victim, which is a very woke mentality. You're not a victim, Nigel.
It is, isn't it? Yes, and I think Guramit has a good point that Nigel has been going a bit further towards the left recently. It's quite funny when you think of the way the left views Nigel Farage as practically Hitler, you know, sort of a Trumpian Hitler type thing. But actually, when you listen to the policies that he's been espousing, they're not actually, in many cases, they're not that right wing. He's actually bringing in more of the social policies. You know, I mean, really what he or anybody who gets into power needs to do is to cut. We need to have a lot of the benefits culture cut. And that's, you know, more of a right-wing view, but I don't think that Nigel necessarily will follow that through. It would be extremely unpopular, as it is in France. You know, as you know, the French government has just fallen again, took them 24 hours, simply because they wanted to put a few little cuts through in their budget. And that's the sort of thing that could happen here if we don't have somebody who is strong enough, like Margaret Thatcher, for example, or Millet, to say, we're doing it because we have to, tough, keep going. But I don't know that Nigel will do that.
No, indeed. And it does feel like Western democracies are becoming ungovernable with the push towards sectarianism. And it is a huge worry. But Nigel has made it clear that he does intend to compromise on that front. But come on, Nigel, you know, I work with you. You're not the type of guy that says you were bullied by Elon Musk because you had a political disagreement. I just think that's weird language. Tommy Robinson has gone hard against King Charles as the crisis in the British monarchy grows and the hard left, the Islamist left, start to use the situation with Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein to encourage an abolishment altogether of the great British royal family, like Jeremy Corbyn's Islamist partner in crime, Zara Sultana, who wrote, don't just abolish Prince Andrew's titles, abolish the monarchy. So is this a time when those of us on the right should actually be getting behind the monarchy, trying to save the monarchy? Or, as Tommy Robinson points out, are there question marks about King Charles's faith as the head of the Church of England, given he has seemed to capitulate to Islam, and this week even decided to go and pray with the Pope for the first time in 500 years? This is what Tommy had to say.
Mate, maybe he is a Muslim. Who knows? He comes out and makes comments like there's great respect for Sharia. Sharia would subjugate every single one of us, Charles. Like, to be honest, he's not my king. Yeah, and I think most people feel that way. And he's not just on Islam, on the whole World Economic Forum, the whole global climate change, just everything he's been part of and supported. Everything. And he's meant to be non-political. Yeah? The Queen was non-political, didn't make any of these comments. Charles, total opposite. So, and I think it should have skipped Charles and gone straight to Prince William and Kate, because the support for the monarchy is probably at the lowest ever, I'm guessing. People have had enough. And he is meant to be our king, and his people, which is us, our daughters are being raped from one end of this country to the other, and they're continually being put in danger. And he said nothing. He speaks up for the great contributions Muslims have done. Like, if there was no Islam in the UK, we wouldn't even be having these discussions on immigration, because immigration hasn't caused the problem. It's Islamic immigration that's destroying this nation.
To my superstar panel, Jasmine Birtles of Money Magpie Finance, and Tommy Robinson, ally and Urban Scoop contributor, Guramit Singh. So, Guramit, Tommy's gone pretty far there, saying King Charles is not my king, and even suggesting that maybe he is secretly Muslim, or at least sympathetic to Muslim, which is something that has concerned a lot of folk, given his seeming desire to talk much more about that faith over Christianity, especially in regards to major events on the religious calendar. At the same time, though, do you understand where I think there's a real risk if we on the right start going down this path? Because, of course, the left want to destabilize the monarchy because they want a republic for a whole load of reasons that would open up, I believe, the door to very bad things coming to the United Kingdom.
I mean, I do agree with Tommy to a certain extent, and I do agree with yourself. When Queen Elizabeth II had passed, I believe it left the monarchy and the country quite vulnerable. Recently, I visited Windsor Castle so I could pay my respects to the late Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth II. With Charles going down this angle, I mean, I've heard in the past that he's tried to learn Arabic to understand the Quran more. I've heard he's taken money from quite influential sheikhs in the country, in the world, especially in the Arabia area. I don't believe he should be prancing around other religious institutes helping to promote them and their people. We have a problem when it comes to Christianity in this country, how the churches are being shut down and in some cases being turned into mosques. People are leaving Christianity. His concentration should be with the C of E church, is what he's responsible for. That's his goal, that's his job, and that's what he should be doing. I do believe in Tommy in what he said with, basically, I don't believe that Charles is my king. I don't see him as a king. When I grew up in the 80s and the 90s and the young youth, the Queen Elizabeth II, her name and her picture was always around in the household. Even though we didn't know her personally, it felt it was a part of us and part of our being and our culture and our heritage and our history in this country. I don't look at Charles in that way. And I do agree with Tommy where he says that he thinks that Charles should have been skipped over and it should have gone straight to William, because I do believe William is a monarch I can get behind. But with Charles's antics, getting involved politically, especially with an ideology that is completely alien to us and completely against us as a whole, I can't really support him as being my monarch, no.
Yeah, I mean, I do completely understand that position, Jasmine, and I say that it's difficult. I'm a monarchist, I'm a royalist, which means really you do try and support the head of state and the monarch as much as you can. In saying that, one of the issues with Charles, he is head of the Church of England, yet he seems to care more about Ramadan than Easter.
Yes, he does. And you remember when he was crowned, he said that he would be defender of the faiths, not the faith. And he is supposed to be head of the Church of England. But for years, we've certainly had the sense that he wasn't even slightly interested in Christianity. I don't think he is Muslim. I think he's just a sort of a pan-faithist, if you like, a religionist, and even a paganist, because I think with the invitations to his coronation, he had the green man on it. So he's into pagan stuff as well. He's into all sorts. I'm also concerned that he's so connected with the World Economic Forum.
Yes.
That is not a group that you would want your king, your monarch, to be connected to. Sadly, I think William is as well. So that doesn't bode well for the future. But I agree again with Guramit and with Tommy that it's hard to look at him and think, oh, that's my king. I've never felt that, and I certainly don't feel that his wife is my queen.
Yes, the Camilla issue is a really interesting one because, of course, the mainstream media has embraced her, but actually there is vast swaths of the British population, especially monarchists, who will not forgive what happened in the early days of her marriage, of Charles's marriage to Diana. There was something else concerning with the king this week, and it was largely overshadowed because, of course, the Prince Andrew story has gone so wide. But Charles made a visit to the synagogue in Manchester, which was subjected to that horrific Islamist terror attack by the absolute scumbag Jihad al-Shami, who moved to this country and was radicalized over many, many years. And actually, on the day, even though the police didn't admit this, called up the local cops and said, I'm doing this for ISIS. So there's absolutely no doubt that he was an Islam terrorist. But of course, for a lot of the reasons you have both outlined, Charles doesn't want to go there. And so what the elite class do in these situations, and it infuriates me because the same thing happened, do you remember after David Ames was the MP, the Tory MP, was murdered in a terror attack by an Islamist? For some reason, all of the conversation moved to social media and sort of the tone of our conversations on social media rather than actually the threat of Islamism. And King Charles this week did exactly the same thing, warning against radicalization on social media as he met the Heaton Park survivors. Let me just take you through some of the article. The Daily Telegraph reported the King spoke of the need to de-radicalize people from what they see on the ghastliness of social media while visiting survivors of the Manchester synagogue attack. The monarch told members of the congregation, I can't tell you how sad I am. The terrible thing is, so much of the thing of the ghastliness of social media, it's very hard, adding that we must de-radicalize people. A Buckingham Palace spokesperson said of the visit, this is the king continuing with duty and service in his long-standing mission to bring communities together, particularly in times of challenge. And the king hopes very much that the focus will be on the community impacted by this heinous crime rather than any other matters. And he is obviously referring to the Prince Andrew story there. But Guramit Singh, I'm sorry, this utterly infuriates me. There is absolutely zero evidence that Jihad al-Shami was radicalized by the, quote, ghastliness of social media. He was radicalized by his Islam faith to the point where we took him in 2005 and he ends up wanting to kill us on our streets by 2025.
It's a similar scenario to what you spoke about earlier about the Pakistani boy that killed the young boy up in Sheffield, I think it was.
Horrible.
What they're trying to do is the crime is being committed and they're trying to take the attention off the real problem, which is actually the individual that's committed the crime, which in this case is a Muslim again, and his faith, Islam. I mean, even his name is Jihad. He's committed this act because of his faith and not because of radicalization on social media or something someone has told him to do. That's evident. And this is just another way the Islamic community are trying to shun the responsibility of what has happened in their name and in their faith's name.
Jasmine?
Yeah, having a name of jihad is a bit of a giveaway, really, isn't it? But I think we're going to see this trope more and more. That, social media, it needs to be controlled. We've been hearing this particularly with children. Children need to be protected. Well, they do, but that's being used as an excuse to stop people using social media, having the freedom of expression to use social media. And I think what those the powers that be, and I'm talking particularly the World Economic Forum, the UN, various organizations behind governments are trying to do is to make us have to have a license to use the internet, have a license to use social media. This is very much the point of digital ID, that we all have to have a digital ID. And if you don't have one, you're not allowed to use social media, you're not allowed to bank, you're not allowed to use the internet. That, I think, is what they're aiming for. And people like the king are being used to be a mouthpiece for this idea of, oh, social media is such a worry. Oh, allowing people the freedom of expression is a terribly dangerous thing. We must clamp down on that. Let's bring in digital ID.
I know. I mean, Guramit Singh, what we desperately, desperately need are our leaders, are our members of the elite class to actually say, no, this has nothing to do with social media, because young, radicalized Muslim men are actually not being taught on the whole on social media. They're being taught in mosques.
Well, 100%, and this is what you'd expect. You'd expect your leaders, you'd expect the people that are running this country, you'd expect even the leaders of the faith groups within their own religious institutes to be to be protecting us and telling us the truth of what's happening. These people are listening and picking up on a doctrine that is taught within mosques and madrasas throughout the country. We've got examples that go back 1600 years of them committing terror acts against non-Muslims throughout not just this country, but whole of the world. And the thing is, nobody not even the mainstream media will actually cut this weed off by the roots and go straight to the roots problem, go straight to the plants problem. And the problem is Islam and an extreme ideology and what's within it and what it's trying to achieve, which is total domination. And a way by doing that is terror, which we've seen examples of on the streets of UK over and over again.
Yeah, we have. And unfortunately, we have been let down by all of our leaders on this issue, actually. And I guess, Jasmine, Charles can be quite naive because, of course, you want to bring people together. But how can you say that after a terror attack when you're not actually looking at the root cause of the problem? But in some way, Jasmine, this bleeds over to his management of his own family as well. And I do wonder what you think in terms of not just the Prince Andrew situation, but also the Prince Harry and the Sussex situation. Has he really done enough by just saying, okay, don't use your titles? Because increasingly, I am being told that Prince William is lobbying for there to be an Act of Parliament. This would be the letters patent, where all of the titles and formal royal privileges, including that of Prince, are stripped not just from Andrew, Beatrice and Eugenie, but also Harry, Meghan, Archie and Lily. Isn't it important for Charles to do more, Jasmine?
Yes, I think it is. I mean, I kind of feel for him because this is his family, particularly his son who's had problems, etc. And I think it's very hard for a parent. It's easier for a brother to say, cut him off, cut everything off. When it's your son, it's much harder. However, the behavior from that quarter has been so bad, has been so, again, not just against the family, but essentially against Britain. Because, when you're talking about the royal family, quite often British people feel that you're talking about the country as well. So I think there are a lot of people in the country who want him to cut and really do things properly, because they said, we want to move, we want to be our own people, we don't want to have anything to do with the royal family. In fact, so much so that we're going to say and write nasty things about them. Well, do it properly then. Take away all of those privileges, and then everybody knows where they stand. It's hard. And I know that as a parent, it would be very hard for him to do it. But as the king, as the head of state, he needs to do it. He needs to act strongly now.
Guramit, do you think Prince Andrew and Prince Harry should simply end up Andrew Windsor and Harry Windsor?
Completely. With their actions over the last few years, I don't believe they deserve to have the title of even Windsor. All the royal titles should have been stripped from them from day one when these problems started to occur. The king is in a position to do this, and we need a strong leader. We need somebody that's going to stick up for the House of Windsor, for the monarchy. So he has to do some action here now, I personally believe.
Indeed. Absolutely, indeed he does. Guramit Singh, so great to have you on Outspoken on the Superstar panel for the first time. Where can people find you?
Guramit Singh 01 on Twitter and YouTube, and Guramit Singh on Facebook. And obviously, if you head over to Urban Scoop, you'll be able to find some of my documentary series, The Predator Hunter, there as well.
And Jasmine Birtles, of course, you've got to subscribe to the brilliant Money Magpie Finance on YouTube.
Absolutely. And then there's moneymagpie.com as well, which is my website. Yes. Have a look there.
Goodness me, because we all need some financial help at the moment, don't we, with this cost of living crisis?
It's been a pleasure
and the taxes about to go up.
Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure to have you for the first time. Guramit Singh, Jasmine Birtles, thank you. And we are going to reveal today's greatest Britain Union jackass in just one moment. But first, so much feedback rolling in on the Mike Graham story. So Kalamazoo says Mike will now truly become the independent Republic of Mike Graham. Looking forward to that. Trish4977 says, won't watch talk anymore if Mike Graham has gone. Gray4566 says, Julia Hartley-Brewer and Mike Graham are great, except for one thing. They hate Tommy and spread lies about him in reference to Tommy Robinson. Nick S says, any presenter on Talk or GB News should build their own studio ready to go on YouTube independently in a garage or spare bedroom, because you never know when you'll be cancelled. Oh my God, that is so true. I wish I had done that. I was totally unprepared. Catweasel21 says, surely Meta can track down the IP address from which the offending posts were made and compare it with that from which he usually posts. I know this is not definitive, but it would be a good indication. And Not Baltic 280 says, Mike is Talk TV. So if he leaves, his new endeavor is going to be awesome. Every cloud has a silver lining. And of course, we will keep on this story for you. And by the way, we are streaming on Substack today. I'll tell you more about that tomorrow. But Pamela Marie says, good morning from Middle Tennessee. I'm here to learn, I think. I love the UK and I'm so concerned with the direction it's heading. Well, so are we, Pamela Marie, and it is great to have you watching. Okay, a reminder of today's Union Jackass nominees. Bushra Sheikh, nominated by Dr. Wilf444 for tweeting relentlessly about Palestine, but ignoring Sudan and Yemen, where Muslims are murdering other Muslims. Yasmin Alabaya-Brown, nominated by MattCass44 for saying that the Oxford Union idiot who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death is a victim of cancel culture. And Rory Stewart, nominated by ScottFly23 for sulking like a little boy on Newsnight and only perking up to blame Trump for everything TDS of the highest order. And the results are in. With 19% of the vote, Rory Stewart. The runner-up with 39% of the vote, Yasmin Alabaya-Brown. And your Union Jackass today, the worst Briton in the world, Bushra Sheikh, with 43% of the vote. And guess what? It's a Thursday, so straight after the main show, I'm going to put all the Union Jackasses from across the week head-to-head. This one is so interesting because on Monday, it was Sarah Ferguson. On Tuesday, it was Prince Andrew. On Wednesday, it was Jess Phillips. And on Thursday, it was Bushra Sheikh. So 4 very different nominees, all going head-to-head to be named the worst Briton in the world this week. I will announce the winner at the end of tomorrow's show. Do you know what? Last week, we had over 100,000 votes on YouTube, which is just absolutely incredible. So do keep them coming through. I will, well, they haven't started yet because I'll put up the post straight after the live show. We obviously had to wait to see who was going to win today. And today's Greatest Britain is a honorary, but it's a perfect nomination. Great man, Ezra Levent, nominated by Mother Clanger, who was pepper sprayed by police while reporting on an Irish protest. And we absolutely love Ezra Levent, the boss of Rebel News, one of my favourite guests, and he does such brilliant work. And it was terrible. He just said the police were indiscriminately pepper spraying people in Ireland, and he happened to be one of the victims of it because he was trying to do journalism. Okay, we're moving over to Substack now for the Royal Uncancelled After Show. Very excited today. I've got Lee Cohen with me. Lee Cohen, brilliant foreign policy buff, but also a royal commentator for the Daily Telegraph, Fox News and The Spectator. we've got all of the big royal news stories. So join us over there, www.outspoken.live. Back tomorrow with you, 5 p.m. UK time, midday Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Hit subscribe right now on YouTube. Turn on the notification bell and you'll be alerted to our brand new episodes. And most importantly, I promise to keep fighting for you.